Okay, so our beloved priest, BP as he's known to me, beloved priest.
PD, beloved deacon.
Beloved deacon and beloved priest, has set a new tone of a more interactive preaching style, and I still feel like I need my classroom here. I need a music stand to do this. So I'm nervous, but I know you guys are my friends, and it'll be okay. So if I goof up, please forgive me.
How are we going to know?
Namaste. Exactly. So during Holy Week in Lent, we all had a really terrific experience. And one of the things that made it so cool, if I may use the jargon, is that we talk to each other. We have decided in the leadership and in our church, all of us have decided that our superpower is the fact that we're small. We can be close to each other. We can let it fly, so to speak. We do let it fly. And we all know each other pretty well. So instead of going up there, using my notes and being holy, I think he's right. I think this is time for this. So we looked at, during Holy Week, some questions. You guys remember what they were for Maundy Thursday? Remember what the question was? Can you show me
Your feet.
Can you show me your feet? Good Friday.
Show me your scars.
Show me your scars.
No.
No, your wounds. Your wounds first. Wounds first, then they have to heal to be scars.
Yes.
And for Holy Saturday, the Easter Vigil and Easter, show me your scars. Okay? Well, today I think I'm going to talk about, can you show me your transformation? I'm going to start off by talking just a second. And some of you have heard this story, and please bear with me. But I want to talk about my broken arm. 24 years ago, maybe 23 years ago, the Ides of March, I was riding in a small van school bus with 6 or 8 students. We went to the Lyric Opera backstage tour. And on the way home, outside of Morgan Park High School, there was a young man who had gone under some railroad crossing, and he was being chased by the Metro Police. Metro Police are the special police that do the Metro stations and stuff. So I have a feeling I might have been a little Barney Fife in them. You know, they're not the big guys, they're not the sheriff, they're not the Chicago police. And they were pursuing him at 80 miles an hour. Well, he rear-ended our school bus, our van, going 80, pushed the van forward far enough to turn it into a light pole. So we got a rear-end collision, which I remember. The front-end collision, I don't remember. I was thrown out of my seatbelt, landed on one of my students, who happened to be Jesse Jackson's niece, whose mother blamed me for the accident because I had been uncomfortable with the driver on the way downtown. But it had nothing to do with, but because I planned the accident, she blamed me for it. That was later.
Plan the trip.
So I planned the trip, so it's my fault.
Right.
So I was thrown out of my seat, landed on Brenda Robinson, and broke her jaw. And I don't remember the landing. I remember sort of being in the aisle of the bus and not being able to find my left arm. And kind of, it's like, oh my God, it's off. Oh my God, where is it? Well, it was back here somewhere, and I just pulled it forward. My whole elbow from here to here was shattered. Nothing bigger than a dime, the surgeon said. I don't remember it hurting very much, but I remember being scared out of my mind, and at first not able to stand up. So, you know, what ended up happening was that it was a terrible, terrible injury, and in the hospital, when I went to the emergency room, my entire arm was numb. So they thought the ulnar nerve had been severed, which meant it would never come back. Though I had no feeling in this hand, and I had 2 surgeries that day, and about 8 weeks in a cast. The pain was so bad, and the trauma was so bad, and the fact that I felt at that moment like I was the victim of a crime, which I really was, and was just so angry at the boy who had caused the accident. Because I couldn't get out of bed. I was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, 2 surgeries in that time. Horrible pain, just the worst pain ever. And then when I went home, it got worse. I had to keep a towel in my bed. I was crying so much. I gave up on Kleenexes. That just wasn't going to cut it. We needed a towel. So I did. I kept a towel alongside me, you know. And the worst part of it for me was the trauma and what looked to be looming disability. I'm a musician. Everybody would say to me, "Oh, thank goodness it's your left hand." Oh no. I play the guitar, I play piano, I play recorder. They couldn't take my singing voice away, but the rest of it didn't look like it was going to come back. My hand looked like I'd had a stroke. It was limp and pale, and it still has a little different color than the other one, but it has come back. It began to itch, which was the best sign in the world, because then it meant the feeling was coming back. I went into such a severe depression that I decided I needed to go for help. And I saw a wonderful doctor named Daryce, and she was treating me for PTSD, depression, and the trauma. And at one point she said, "Show me your arm, show me your scar. It's really not that bad, Daryce." I'm like, "Who are you kidding? What are you talking about? It's horrible." And she said, "You know what? You someday are going to look at this as being one of the best things that ever happened to you." I was, excuse me God, pissed. There is no way I was ever going to see this as a good thing. Ever, ever, ever. Never. I was furious with her. I didn't go back for 2 weeks. The insurance company didn't settle that case for, I believe it was 14 years it took, because they didn't want to pay for my psychological therapy. They didn't understand why somebody who's had a trauma would need psychotherapy. Duh, I don't know. What do you think? What came out for me was after I was relatively healed, I did a lot of art therapy. Because I happened to be on the faculty at Morgan Park Academy with 2 women who were art therapists, so they helped me tremendously, and I started drawing, and I've got all my journals, and decided I really liked art and hadn't pursued that, so it was something that really brought me a lot of joy. The chronic pain of this injury, it still hurts, it will always hurt. I have disunited fractures in this hand. I can't straighten my arm. It's never going to happen, even if I replace the elbow. The straightening, the use of the hand is not coming back. But I can play the guitar, I can play the piano, recorder not so much. That's getting bad. But I'm okay. I'm okay. Those things I'm okay. What really happened, however, was I had been trying to hold a beach ball underwater for 40 years. Have you ever tried to hold a beach ball underwater? Okay. 40 years I held that beach ball underwater. The beach ball was sexual abuse as a 10 to 12-year-old by a family member, not my dad. I always want to say that. I never spoke of it to anyone for 40 years, ever. I was ashamed. I felt it was my fault, which is so typical of abuse victims. But once I hurt that hand, I could no longer hold a beach ball under. You can't do it with one hand. It came flying out. And I told Dr. Zwick about the abuse and went through absolute hell getting better. Worked very, very hard. She was right though. Had I not had that injury, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be an artist. I would not have ever had any healing from that abuse. I think it would have come out eventually. But I see it as, the other thing is that I had to call the ministry back at the end of high school that I didn't pursue, because when I did, they said, sorry, no girls, so I thought, I'm gonna go be teacher. And decided, you know what, time's a wasting. You could have died. Had I hit my head the way I'd hit my arm, I would have been dead. Move it, girl, let's go. That's kind of how I looked at the rest of my life. So I love the fact, how I tie this with Thomas. I was able to experience the most important transformation of my life because I got wrecked, because I was almost killed. I think that's what it takes for some of us, more stubborn souls, because I go kicking and screaming to just about everything. Nobody's going to tell me, one of my sinful. Thomas brought his doubt into the light of Jesus. He said, I don't believe this. Until I can put my hands into that wound, until I can put my hand in that side, then maybe, but no way, you guys are not going to pull this one on me. Not happening. Well, it did happen. And Thomas was transformed from the doubting disciple to what we think is one of the most important missionaries of the church. All of those men and women, mind you, that were in that room with Jesus saw him. And when they saw him, as it said in the gospel, blessed are those who don't believe. You guys have to see it in a harder way. They saw the risen Christ. They took off and changed the world. 190 years after Thomas, after the resurrection, some explorers, missionaries went from the church to India to try to see if they could Christianize India. Well, they found a church there. The last thing they expected to find. The church was already there. The church that Lalitha and David come from, the Syro Malabar Church. It was already there. And tradition is that either Thomas himself or people he took out onto the mission field to share the good news of Jesus are the ones that did that. That man who said, nope, nope, not until I see his scars, nope, you're not going to pull this one over on me. Look what he did. Even if it's just a possibility that he did it, it's a story of amazing transformation. So all of us doubters, take heart. We're important. And the transformations that we go through in our lives are huge. Not only to us, but to the rest of the world. So what I'd like for you, if you can anybody briefly, as much as you want to, share a transformation? Does anybody feel comfortable doing that? We shared a lot at our vestry retreat. We kind of did these stories. So there are many of us. And if you don't feel a transformation or you don't feel comfortable talking about it, let's talk about our parish. We've experienced a glorious transformation in the last year. God has been so good to us. A year ago, this week, Ethan, who was not even he wasn't even an interim, he was just a supply priest, went downtown with me for my final interviews. He was just starting here. Look where we've been. Look what God has done for us. God is transforming us. Does anybody see any of that? Can you name one thing?
I actually am really blessed because, and Leanne and I both, because we've been here not as long as a lot of people, but we are here to witness the best leader of this church that I've seen. Okay,
Since we've
over
been
there. So, and so I'm just inspired by him and both of you together. What a force I feel. For this time, yeah, seriously. Yeah, I really.
And get everybody out of their shell.
So, between the two of you guys.
We're comfortable now,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, talk about uncomfortable. A year ago
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
that was pretty damn
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
it was, it's comfortable.
Comfortable how?
Just in relating to each other and being a mixed congregation and having bilingual mass and knowing that, you know, they feel the same ways that we do. And I think it's just bringing everybody together.
And it's obviously comfortable because we're usually uncomfortable.
Yes.
We're out of our
Yes.
box.
We're out of our
comfortable
comfort zone.
with each other. So comfortable is
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, to be able to breathe, I think, breathe.
That's awesome. That's transformation. Thanks God. That's pretty cool. Great.
For one, I'm so pleased and ecstatic that you founded after you, because it seemed forever.
It was forever.
1974.
So much has happened.
Thank you.
Last year.
But it really is a story of transformation, but I had to go through the desert. Jesus, I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but Jesus went through terrible, terrible suffering to bring this new life to the world. So why should my story be a whole lot different than his? Yeah.
I was just going to say that, and Father Ethan talked about this, is that a year ago, after his first vestry meeting, he was like, what is going on? Because it felt like literally two warring factions. For those who don't know, we also have a Spanish service, and it literally felt like two different clashes.
Yeah.
So in a year, if you want to see transformation, it's our vestry meetings where we now work as one body. We have open vestry meetings where people come and listen, and it may seem chaotic.
It is.
But the alternate was this. And so if you want to see transformation in one short year, that's transformation.
Yeah.
And it's only been a year.
It has only been a
It's
year.
only been a year, and holy mackerel, you know, so far.
Holy
So
mackerel.
After a few more years.
It
with
can only
this,
get better.
yeah, it's really going to,
This
so.
is what God does for us. So, anybody else? So if you're going through a hard time now, which I know you are, some of you, not gonna lie, there's a few of us that are going through really rough times right now. I'm not gonna be Dr. Zwick and say, this is gonna be the best thing ever. No! It's gonna be hell to get through it, but once you do and you get on the other side, Jesus will honor your suffering. Jesus will be with you in your suffering because he suffered. He will make us all whole. Hallelujah, the Lord is risen.
The Lord is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
Thank you.